Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hyperconscious Podcast. Alan, what is hyperconscious?
Once you understand why something is the way that it is, now you have the power to change it. Great conversations with great people and great questions are the keys to the kingdom of unlocking your consciousness.
Every single action that you do starts as a thought. When you control the way you think, you will control the way you act, and you will control the way you live. That is hyperconscious. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hyperconscious Podcast is proudly sponsored by our friend and mentor, David Meltzer of the Playbook Podcast. He was kind enough to join us on episode 144 and 135.
Folks, it has become Kevin and I's mission in life to help you realize that the life of your dreams is right on the other side of you becoming the greatest version of yourself. Let us help you do that.
I rarely do these things twice in such a short amount of time, but you guys impress me. I believe in people that provide value and of our service. You two guys are on your way to huge fulfillment, purpose, and profitability, and I look forward to helping you both.
We appreciate that more than you know. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode where Alan and I were lucky enough to sit down with the wonderful Joyce Strong. Today, we are going to do a small talks episode on the word caring. So Alan picked this word because he has the three words that we chose at the Brendan Burchard event. One of them is caring, and we're going to do that today.
So my three words are exceptional, enthusiastic, and caring. Kevin's are as follows. What are yours?
Supportive, understanding, and unique.
That is correct.
Wow.
That is correct.
That is correct.
So I did a live video yesterday in the Facebook group. And speaking of that, if you go to the hyperconsciouspodcast.com, you click on join #HyperconsciousNation. It'll bring you to the Facebook group. You will get prompted with several different questions. And we already have 35 members.
Yes, we appreciate you guys hopping in because, again, it's interesting because I think it's a good place for people who kind of want to help influence others as well. Right? Like, it's a very low entry. Like, it's not as scary as jumping on your own Facebook Live. It's not as scary as doing your own Instagram Live. You can just add your 2 cents in, share your experiences, and if you're trying to help others, it's a great place. So we appreciate you guys.
I did my first live video ever, and I've been doing social media for 3.5 to 4 years now, and it's a little different. If you guys in that group want to do a Facebook Live, it's a really good place to start fear chasing in a judgment-free zone.
Yeah.
We really want to see you guys engage on there. As a matter of fact, shout out to Abby. She just introduced herself, and then Alessandro and a couple other people already chimed in about their goals.
Anastasia.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really appreciate you guys. Honestly, I feel so aligned with that Facebook community. I can't wait to grow that thing and really engage with it every single day.
It's nice to be able to, because again, we said like having an email list where we could like email you guys is great, but there's no back and forth. There's no how are you feeling today? There's no what can I help you with? It's just a different. I think the Facebook group is the way to go, and we want to create the best community ever with Hyperconscious Nation.
A caring community.
Some would say.
So back to caring. Okay,
Yes.
So I got several different questions that I prepped to hammer at Kevin.
Hammer 'em.
But first I'm going to define caring. So dictionary.com defines caring as the following. As a verb, to be concerned or solicitous, to have thought or regard for, to be concerned or have a special preference. The third one is to make provision or look out for. And then the fourth one is to have an inclination, liking, fondness, or affection for. And so that is caring. So caring is one of my three words. And I am going to hammer the questions at Kevin now.
Sure.
Sure. So here we go. So although caring is one of my words, I honestly think this is something that you're great at.
I appreciate that.
We often say we want to be the hardest workers in the room with the biggest hearts. What does the biggest heart mean to you in terms of caring?
I told you this before this episode. Actually, we were talking about something else. I always want somebody's perception of me to be positive. I always want somebody to say like he's a good person. He's a genuinely good person. He is kind. He's caring. I think that caring means you're able to put yourself in the person's shoes and you understand maybe the way you're talking to them and how that might affect them, or maybe weighing in like their situation on the way. Like, I think it's just. If I'm at a restaurant and the waiter or waitress makes a mistake, I don't lose my mind. Like, Sure, it's your job, but it's also you're just another human being who you might not even like your job. Right. And here I am like shitting on your life because you screwed up my order. Like, whatever, people make mistakes. And I think that's because you don't care. Like, if I was to go off on that person, that's because I don't care about their feelings. I don't care about them as a person, because at the end of the day, I used to pump gas. I was doing something I didn't enjoy. I was in the service industry.
Right.
Right? And did that make me a bad person? Did that mean I was worthless? Did that mean I could just people could just talk to me like I wasn't a human? No, no. And so I think it's really taking a look and trying to understand, like, where is this person right now? Where are they coming from? What are they going through? And I think that's caring. Caring to me is just, I just want to be a genuine good human being.
I have a short story about exactly what you're talking about.
Hammer it.
I was in the gym recently with someone that I care for very much, and I made a joke that I thought was funny, and I realized, here's a thing that's very true, I believe. Don't make jokes about things that you think people are already self-conscious about.
Yeah.
Because even if you didn't mean anything by it, they might like get really hurt by that. And one thing, I've been working with my clients a lot, and actually I posted in the Facebook Live group recently about the top 3 strategic priorities to make this the best year of your life, and then the 25 reasons underneath each of those. Again, go join that group if you want to dive in and actually do that exercise. But the reason I'm mentioning this is the 25 reasons why you want to achieve something. If your reasons aren't big enough, your excuses will be. I've been digging in with my clients deep into the heartstrings of why they're doing what they're doing and why they want to achieve their goals. What I'm finding is that a lot of the reasons why we do what we do is very deeply rooted in some insecurities and some pains from our past. And I was on the phone with 2 clients on Sunday, 2 different clients. Shout out to you both for being open and vulnerable. But we were like in tears. And it's people hurt them without even knowing that they hurt them. And I think that what you said is really powerful in the sense of like, try to be aware of like the effect you're having on other people, because I think that's one of the most important and mature versions of caring that we can have. Because I've unintentionally said jokes that I meant nothing by that ended up really hurting someone's feelings, and I know you've been there as well.
Yeah.
So I think putting yourself in someone else's shoes and being able to really understand them, and like maybe not poking at things that will really hurt is important.
You know the saying, sharing is caring.
Right.
You've heard that saying. I think sharing is caring because I am invested in your well-being regardless of our relationship. I think that's what caring is. I'm invested in your happiness, in your in your all of you, in your success, in your happiness, in your fulfillment. I just want to invest in you, and I think that's what caring is. Like, we might not have a connection, we might not be friends, but that doesn't mean I don't care about you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to say because I keep using care as the verb here, but that's what I mean. Like, I'm invested in you, and that's what caring means to me.
Can you give an example?
Just going back to the waiter or the waitress.
Okay, you're invested in them?
Yeah, I mean, you're a human being. I'm a human being. I'm invested in making this experience the best possible for both of us.
Why do you think not everyone's like that?
That's a great question, man. I don't know. I probably wasn't always like that. I think it has to be one of your focuses. I think it has to be. Remember I don't remember where we were. We were getting off a flight. We were walking through the airport. I think it was in Arizona.
I know this exact.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the guy in front of me dropped his suitcase and dropped a bunch of flashcards, I think, on the ground.
There was a bunch of papers that went everywhere.
And I stopped to help him, and not many other people did. Alan did. But I care about you. Because now I don't want that to be like the reason you're having a terrible day, And there's like people walking by you not giving a shit that you dropped all your stuff. Like, I care. I genuinely do. I don't, because I would like it if you helped me. I think that's kind of what I try to do. I try to put myself in the shoes as if I was in those shoes and like, how would I feel? What would really light me up?
I'm realizing kind of in this moment, maybe you've been treated like, I guess when you were pumping gas, were there people that made you feel
For sure.
even more insignificant?
For sure. There was really nice people too. There was like genuine, like I used to get $100 or $150 worth of tips on like around holidays. I had a lot of regulars that were really nice to me,
Right.
but I also had a lot of people that didn't really treat me
Well,
yeah, because I was a gas station employee.
I think beautiful people have been through a lot, and I think they've been in the place where they felt insignificant, and they don't want others to feel that way. They can really empathize with that.
Yeah.
I think that's huge.
Empathy, yeah, it goes back to empathy.
One
for
thing
sure.
that I struggle with personally is when I'm trying to get a specific result, like at the gym, for example, and my attention is on the weights.
Yeah.
But yet someone else comes over and maybe I make them feel insignificant because my focus isn't on them.
That's a hard one.
It's a hard one, right? And you got to be able to shift focus. Giving someone else your genuine attention. Remember, Joyce talked about that. The amount that we cared about her and her life genuinely at the Dave Meltzer event is the reason why we're able to do this event on July 25th.
Right.
At
That's
the Groton
because
Inn.
we cared. She was
Right.
there alone.
Right.
And in my mind, I'm thinking, you're here alone. You must be scared, or you must be afraid, or you must be intimidated, or you must be fear chasing. I care.
Yeah.
I want to help you. I care. I want to make this experience better for you. I want to connect. I think that's human, man. I genuinely do.
Yeah.
And I think people who don't quote unquote care, like Taryn and I went to dinner
Right.
maybe a month ago, and I left a really big tip because the lady was awesome.
Yeah.
And I cared about her. Like, we connected over dinner. She was just an amazing waitress. She was a sweetheart.
Right.
And I wanted to make her day better. I care about your day. I care about the fact that maybe you don't get a lot of tips throughout the day. Maybe it was a slow day. Maybe you have a family. Maybe you're struggling with money. Like, I care. I just genuinely care about other human beings.
Yeah.
And I think that's it for me. Like, I get hopped up about it. I'm all fired up.
Right. One of the most important words ever.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so here's another question that I have for Kevin. So I've heard you say on the podcast before that people don't care too much, but maybe they are just caring too much about the wrong things. What's something you care so much about now that you wish you had cared more about in the past?
Oh, man. I used to care about looking like I was successful. Like, a lot more than, tattoos, like nice watch.
Jacked.
Jacked. A nice car, a nice apartment.
Right.
Those kinds of things.
Beautiful GF.
Beautiful GF. And now I don't want the illusion of results. I want the results. But I also realize sometimes in order to get the results, you have no illusion of results.
Right.
And it's like, whatever. It is what it is. So I wish I focused more on getting the real thing rather than renting the fake one.
Wow.
I genuinely do.
There's a quote for your
I genuinely do.
for the gram.
Let's go back to this. I was watching Gary Vee today, and he was talking about episode 1 of Wine Library TV, which most people don't know. Like, he was a wine.
The wine guy.
He was a wine guy.
Yeah.
So he got on YouTube when YouTube was like a year old, and he started video blogging
Yep.
about wines.
Yep.
I went back to episode 1 just to see like what was Gary Vee like his first time ever on camera. And it wasn't great.
No, right.
But I don't know why this where this goes with caring, but I just wanted to say like, because of the results.
Yeah.
At that time, he had none of the results. He was just a guy getting on YouTube talking in front of a camera for the first time.
Yep.
And now he's Gary Vaynerchuk, one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world, one of the highest paid speakers and coaches and most influential influencers there is.
Yeah, I would argue that he's very caring as well.
I would say so as well.
I disagree with his approach
Sometimes,
sometimes he can be brash, but I think he's very caring, genuinely. Next question for Kev.
Next question.
1 second here. my flashcards. Yes.
Yes.
I've often said that it's sometimes easier not to care, because when you care so much, it sometimes hurts when things don't go well.
Yeah.
But that's not living. What's a time in your life when your caring too much stopped you from trying because you were too afraid to get hurt?
I have like this. It's interesting because I have very I use my examples a lot. I could go back to the Fire Academy,
Right.
because I cared too much about what people thought. You know, a lot of times.
I thought of the Fire Academy when I asked this question.
I'm
I
sure,
wrote this question.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Every time I was afraid of rejection, it's because I cared too much about the result. I cared too much about being embarrassed. I cared too much about getting rejected and then making that part of my identity.
Right. Whereas if your result you were going for was just to try,
Yeah.
I
Right.
think that's huge.
Well, I always tell people that. Like, if somebody says I want a fear chase, I always say, go up to the person and get rejected. It's not the result that matters. It's the action of chasing the fear. That's all that matters.
Right.
Because that you're going to get rejected
Yeah.
eventually.
Oh, for sure.
But the problem is, usually it doesn't hurt as bad as saying, what if I went up to that person? At least you have an answer. At least you have an answer. And it's funny because you're also not going to make yourself hurt twice. And I don't know if this makes sense, and I don't know if this is scientific, but every time I've ever got rejected, I never went back into myself and said, like, see, you are a piece of shit. It was never that. It was strong work for fear chasing. That person just wasn't interested. You're still a good person. You're still worthy. You're still handsome. You're still successful. I always felt better after. I don't know if that's a personal thing, but I remember I got rejected by one of the girls at the gym.
Yeah.
I saw her a couple days later. It didn't matter.
The redhead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Calling her out.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, well, I
no,
just...
no.
I,
It's happened so many times, I know.
yeah. Right.
But to me, it was just like, okay, like I'm proud of the fact that I was able to do that. I cared about that. I cared about the action and not the result.
Yeah, I don't think anyone cares too much. I think you're caring about the wrong thing.
Well, when I say that, it's usually about like people. How many times have you heard somebody say, I just care too much? Like when I'm in a relationship, I just care too much. No, you don't. That's like saying you invest too much. You're just investing in the wrong stocks.
That's so fire. That's fire.
But that's what people are doing. People are investing in people who they're not getting any returns on them. And then they're saying, well, I just care too much. If you really think the answer is to care less, you're going to end up on the other side. And you're still going to be lonely.
What's
You're
the other side?
either single or in a relationship where you guys aren't connected. Like, you can't care less.
Why do you think people don't care more?
Because caring hurts, man.
Right. And it's harder also, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, for example, when you are in love with someone and things don't go well, it's harder to manage your state
Yeah.
because you get more anxiety, you get more fear. There's more fear of loss when you care. And I think that's one of the primary reasons people don't have big dreams.
But
Because when you care deeply about your dreams and they don't go out work well, I was talking to my sister's boyfriend last night. He spent from the moment he was 14 years old, he chased his dream of being a helicopter pilot in the Army. He got LASIK surgery to get better vision from a civilian doctor, and he couldn't ever fly. He has a tattoo on his arm about flying. I forget the name of the helicopter, but his whole life, he has 450 hours invested in a helicopter to eventually be in the Army to fly helicopters, and he was told he couldn't because the LASIK surgeon that did his eye surgery was a civilian, not a military-approved doctor. And in the Air Force, in the Army, they don't have any wiggle room there. And his dream was like, that was a really hard thing for him because he chased that his whole life. He has helicopter models and all this stuff, and I just remember being like, "Wow!" Like talk about a gut check. But at least he chased it.
Yeah,
and he'll never have what if.
Of course, it hurts.
Right.
But if and that's the thing, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure that at least you're open to the fact that like what we're talking about makes sense. Like, yeah, it hurts. Right? Of course it hurts, but usually the things that hurt mean the most to you. There's a reason they hurt.
There's a reason they hurt.
But but that also means on the opposite side of that coin, all that pain, there's all that pleasure.
Exactly.
There's all that pleasure of laying down in bed with somebody that you care about and having a good conversation. Of course there's hard talks. Sure. Of course, this journey that Al and I have been on it has not been easy.
Oh, yeah.
We've gone back and we told the times where we were driving back in Florida just crying because we were both overwhelmed. But there have been amazing moments of fulfillment, like flying back from Arizona. You kind of can't have both.
Yeah, you can't have one without the other.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
You kind of have to have both.
If you're willing to fall in love and really care about someone that much, there's a possibility you lose that person. But just like you can't have a voice without the risk of criticism. You can't fall in love without the risk of loss. You can't have a business with someone without the risk
Right.
of it, going bust. There's no way. There's no way around it. There's always risk, and you have to take the risks if you want to live.
So, a question I would like to pose to the listeners and the viewers is, what do you care about most in this world? Who do you care about most in this world? There is a great saying from the very, very, very mind-expanding show Parks and Recreation. If the world was ending tonight, who would you spend who would you spend tonight with? You could only pick one person, and the world was going to end tonight. Who would you spend this last night with?
Great question.
Why do you pick that person? Because you care most about them. So what do you care about? Do you care more about a show that's coming up than you do your own personal development? Do you care more about what people think of you than actually chasing or accomplishing your dreams? I was guilty of all of these things, so there's no judgment at all. But I think you have to become aware of it before you can shift it. Find something that you care so much about that you're willing to risk everything for. And that's your thing.
Right.
That genuinely is your thing. And you'll have more why power than, for anything else, realistically.
Yeah, and you'll become more than you ever would have otherwise.
Yes.
Yep.
Are we good? Are we good here?
That was great.
Also, just before did we say
The event.
the event?
We mentioned the event in passing, July 25th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. Kevin and I went to the Confident Women's Consortium, I think last week?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, to see Shauna Pelton. I was up on stage as a volunteer.
Naturally.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. Beautiful, beautiful spot.
Yes.
Amazing dinner with wonderful people. Joyce was on the podcast. She's episode 174. If you want to meet Joyce, she's the founder of the Confident Women's Consortium. Kevin's going to be speaking on cultivating confidence. I'm going to be speaking on natural fitness and how to look as good on the outside as you are on the inside. Please come and join us and meet us. Also, we have 2 free tickets.
Yes. So if you go join Hyperconscious Nation, our Facebook group, we will be giving away 2 free tickets. Our goal is to give away 2 so you guys, whoever wins, can bring somebody. It's a lot easier to go to an event like this with somebody else. Maybe it's your significant other. Maybe it's a friend of yours that is lacking confidence. Whoever it is, a family member you want to thank, whoever it may be. So that is in the Facebook group. And then our last day of our early bird pricing is the 12th. So Friday, July 12th is the last day of the early bird pricing. So make sure you get your tickets before then.
Yes, and bringing someone makes the whole experience more meaningful. Happiness only exists when shared, and that'll only make you care even more about that person and your life in general.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed recording it. The camera just
Kicked off. I know why, because I did the 29
I didn't
minute
think
thing.
it was going to be that long.
I
man.
know. Okay, so Small Talks was Long Talks today, and the camera kicked off. We apologize, but
we hope you enjoyed this episode. We're going to do a Scratching the Surface episode on priorities next, and we will talk to you on Friday.
Talk to you soon.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for listening to another episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast.
Going hyper-conscious will absolutely change your life, because if you understand why something is the way it is, now you have the power to change it. If you going hyper-conscious with us has changed your life in any way, please share this episode with one of your friends, because the more people that go hyper-conscious, the better this world's going to be for everybody.
And if you would kindly leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, that would help us make more people hyper-conscious, and we would be greatly appreciative.
Thank you.
Bye.